It does matter, Steve. It matters to me.
In a moment like this.
Hey everyone, I'm Ryan.
And I'm Steve. This is 60 Cycle on the guitar buying, selling, modding, fixing, breaking, playing, reviewing, some other stuff podcast.
The guitar discussing podcast. That's what we do. We just talk about guitars here. It's not that complicated. We look at used listings of weird and strange guitars from the internet, from the Craigslist, the eBays, the Reverbs, offer-ups, Gear Exchange, etc., etc., etc. The Goodwills, sometimes the Goodwills. So anyways, first instance of that today, this morning, whenever you're watching, we have got a long star sent to us by Michael Lovett.
This is a one-of-a-kind custom-built guitar. The shooting star body is made.
I'm so glad there's only one of these.
One piece of poplar. It has a thin maple neck with a mahogany fretboard. This guitar has one Seymour Duncan JB humbucker pickup with one volume control. The original Floyd Rose whammy bar is from the early 1980s as well. This guitar was designed by me and built in 1986 by guitar builder / luthier Helmut Schumacher in Western Pennsylvania. It has an amazing tone and includes custom-made wooden hardshell case. It is $500, which for a American-made guitar is really
American-made
cheap.
doesn't really mean anything unless it's a major manufacturer or if it's a known builder.
Ryan,
like,
you don't know who Helmut Schumacher is?
I don't know who Helmut Schumacher is.
He's a guitar builder / luthier from Western Pennsylvania.
I know, that's what the Steve, you're killing me tonight. I've never heard of him before. That doesn't mean anything. He could be an amazing builder. This person could be selling it way below value. I don't think they are, because this is a strange body. It has a strange bandsaw-ish take on like a star shape.
It looks like this guitar shop is still open. Helmut's Guitar Workshop, musical instrument repair in Hermitage, Pennsylvania.
It looks, like it's got a cool old Floyd Rose on it. I mean, I bet the pickups are fine, but there's something about the build quality, the style of the cuts and the finishing on it is not making me stoked.
The finishing does not look fantastic.
And I know it's doing the Van Halen Frankenstein sort of thing. So
sure. No, like it's doing. I was going to say it's doing the striper thing.
Well, yeah,
sure.
In color, but Van Halen also had a black and white guitar as well. I can't decide what I think about this body yet. It's doing a star shape, which is, like a trimmed up Explorer.
Yeah.
But did this start as an Explorer, or did this start as just a square piece of wood and they cut it down and tried their best? Or how much of this is intentional? My eyes are having a hard time with this thing. What do you think, Steve?
Well, Ryan,
it's really long. It's a really long, narrow body. The spikes are thin, except for when they aren't. That lower horn there is so chonky compared to, and I mean the lower back horn. The lower front-facing horn is long and thin. The armrest horn, the wing, it looks like a wing. Like it even looks like it has the flaps of a wing in the finish there.
Which part are you talking about?
It's hard to...
the long arm.
The wing.
The long arm of the log.
They all look like legs to me. We've got to select. We got
Right.
3 different legs here to choose from. We've got a left leg, a right leg, and a middle leg.
Okay. Sure.
This is going to sound shocking. I don't think the shape is going to take off. I don't think this is the shape of the future here.
There's some finish weird oddity over here where it looks like maybe this was a black guitar that with yellow on top and some of the yellows.
Oh yeah,
or something. this at $500, this is a gotta play it in the store, I think, scenario for me. I would not check this out on Facebook Marketplace, but if I was in Guitar Center and I saw this hanging on the wall and I saw $500, I think I'd like want to try it out. It's right at the top.
Well, yeah, I'd pick it up and try it for a moment.
I don't think $500 is stupid money.
It's not.
If you pull it down and you're like, this is a lot of fun. Again, I don't know enough about Floyd Rose to know, like, is a 40-year-old Floyd Rose good or bad?
This one looks like it's in good shape. So I have a feeling like there's a collector's market out there.
And then, Seymour Duncan JB, so they picked a good pickup to put in, especially in this kind of
the
thing.
standard pickup.
I know. So, I mean, they didn't cheap out on that stuff. I'm saying, like, they knew their parts.
Yeah,
too.
it's got good parts. I'm wondering about the bones, though. Are these bones anything at all? Like, is this a parts guitar that someone slammed together and put their name on, or did they handcraft all of this? It's impossible to know by looking at it, but I'm not getting vibes that this is... Well, the guy said that he designed it and had the guy build it for him, so I'm not going to put this...
But I mean,
I'm not going to put this on the builder. The builder might be highly skilled, and this might be a very, very well-made instrument, but the person who sat down and sketched this out and said, yes, that's what I want... Why?
Right, and I can
what
see...
is it? What did you want?
I don't think that long leg, for like the long leg, I think it's too long to be an Explorer.
I think so. I don't think this started out as an Explorer blank. It's the whole thing's too long.
Yeah, I think this is like from scratch. I think this is scratch.
Why would anyone do this? I want to scratch it off the face of the planet.
Dang, dude.
I don't actually feel that strongly about it. I'm just perplexed by the decisions that were made here. Like I'm imagining that this guy like sketched this on a napkin,
right? And
then the builder like cut out. The builder was like, okay, he wants like a star shape. That's a popular shape right now. It's the 80s. I get it. And so he cut it out and he was like, oh, here's the body that I've been working on for you. And the guy was like, no, I want it like the napkin. you want it like the drawing on the napkin. That's the star shape. That's what I did. No, like make it just like the napkin.
Right.
And so he does a couple more cuts on it. And he's like, this? And the client's like, no, make it like the napkin. I want it exactly like the napkin. So this is him trying to make it as close as possible
to the napkin,
to the sketch on the bar napkin that this guy scribbled out one night at a show. He's like, I've got the perfect idea for guitar shape. I'm gonna hire someone to make it happen, because it's just really wonky. Like every bit of it doesn't work for me at all.
Kind of like the no fret marker.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Neck. I think that's a good look.
Yeah, that's the best looking thing here. As long as it's got fret markers on the side of the neck, I'm totally fine with that.
I don't really have a lot to say about this.
I'm fine with that type of paint style, that sort of finishing, the Van Halen sort of thing, the paint stripe sort of thing. Even if it's like falling apart and getting a little relic, I think that's cool. That's part of the vibe. I just don't understand the shape at all. Someone make it make sense. Someone justify this to me. I don't know.
Do it in the comments.
What do you guys think? What's next, Steve?
What's next is we don't have anyone to add on this week because, this is the second episode.
We did all last week.
We did all last week. Nobody is signed up for Patreon in the last hour and 20 minutes, unfortunately. So
how come we don't get new Patreons every hour, Steve?
Yeah. Well, I think, really early on to try to spread it out, I would take half of like, if we had like 4, I would do 2 on the first episode and 2 on the second episode.
That bumps
people
out.
I feel like that's not fair. And then people get confused.
Yeah, they're like, how come I wasn't listed? Yeah. I joined Patreon 3 weeks ago.
But anyway, all that to say, like Ryan and I, we actually put a lot of thought into the show. And if you appreciate that, you should head on over to patreon.com/60cyclehumcast. And for as low as $1 or as much as whatever, our highest tier is $25, but
you can go beyond.
You get the same benefits as the $10 tier.
You could go $2,500 a month if you want.
And honestly, like if you can't afford to support us financially, like just like this episode, go on to Apple Music or whatever you listen to this on, whatever platform, and rate the show. just go defend us on Reddit. I don't know. But
fight for our honor.
But I mean, you know, I just want to say I appreciate everyone
absolutely.
who does this financially or helps us out financially or just helps us out by watching and liking and leaving a comment on YouTube.
Steve said a minute ago that we spend a lot of time planning the show. That is technically true. We do spend a lot of time planning out these episodes. Not what we're going to say, but what content we're going to cover in it. We spend a lot of time spitballing various aspects of what we're going to do with the channel, what we're going to do with the podcast, you know, what gear we need, what travel costs need to be covered, what expenses need to be covered, and the Patreons make it all possible. They make all those financial concerns not a concern because we just have a budget all the time because of the Patreons. We don't have to sit there and think like, oh, do we really have, you know, like $500 to spend on, you know, 2 nights in a hotel for some travel that we're going to do? We do because the Patreons have it covered. Oh, do we really have $200 to cover some, you know, crappy guitar off of Amazon? We do because the Patreons made it possible. So it really is a big deal and it really helps us a lot. So thank you.
Thanks. Ryan, you made a comment in the last ad run for the Mood. You described it in a certain way. And I remember what it is. Mood Mark II by Chase Bliss. It's the evil Santa Claus of music. Because you said that it listens to everything that you do and then it plays it back to you in like a twisted way.
Yeah.
It made me think
it knows when you're sleeping, it knows when you're awake, it's listening to everything you say and do. It knows if you're naughty or nice, and it'll play it back for you in little granular clips that you can twist and warp and tweak and turn into something new and super duper freaky. You want to get freaky and loopy and weird and freak out the neighbors? This is going to do it.
That's right. If you want your own creepy Santa, head on over to chasebliss.com and tell them that 60 Cycle Hum sent you when you check out with that Mood Mark II. Ryan, this next ad, we are flying, was sent by Josh Michaels.
Let's make this a short one.
What the? Ryan, you posted the screenshot from TrueFire in this folder.
What?
Crude Saw Tokaloma 2023 weather, $950. Craftsman saw blade resonator guitar. The blade has its own dedicated, pickup and blend control. Lets you set the balance between magnetic pickup for strings and the reverb-like bell of the blade. The blade is floating and free to vibrate, but the laser cut well is closely conformal and won't let your fingers on the sharp bits. No, it doesn't spin. Thank God. 5/8 arbor can be tightened with a spark plug wrench.
I like the concept here. I want to hear it.
Mm-hmm.
I want to hear this guitar. This is more than someone just taking a guitar and cosmetically slapping on a saw blade, which would have been just fine too. Using a saw blade as like a pick guard or something. No, they're using a saw blade as a resonator.
Yeah.
Like the saw blade is floating in the guitar body. Mm-hmm. I'm assuming resting on some sort of post situation. The bridge is pressed against the body or attached to the bridge is attached to the saw blade. And then you've got one of those Guitar Fetish X Trim things. I'm not a huge fan of those. I tried one and it had really limited range compared to a Bigsby.
This Bigsby style?
Yeah.
Would you be able to fix that with a different spring?
No, I think the design of it is flawed. I didn't like it. I didn't like the one that I had. I would probably, if I owned this, unless it was great, if I owned this, I would probably take this off and just go for a straight trapeze to the bridge, a trapeze to the tail sort of thing, or I would put a proper Bigsby on there. But I want to hear this thing. It's like a built-in plate reverb.
Yeah.
It's the strings interacting with a chunk of steel that's free to resonate and give you all sorts of reverby sounds. It sounds like there's maybe some sort of piezo pickup going on there, a piezo.
This sold, by the way.
Oh, yeah, it sold. It looks cool. The body is a bit rough in its cut, but,
Sure.
whatever. It has a cool looking P90 in the neck. Those plastics, the knobs.
The knobs are really...
Where did those come from?
The wood is looks like some kind of, rustic barn sort situation.
You should have opened with this. I don't know. Why did we open with the other thing?
I don't know, man. You picked the order.
I know. I
don't
made a
even,
mistake.
I don't look at the pictures anymore. You know, it's funny because
Steve likes to be surprised.
People will be like, "Hey, I just sent you this ad. You should check it out." And I go, I will only see your ad if it's good enough to make it on the show. They go, well, but it's really good. I'm like, you don't have to convince me.
Here's the thing.
You have to hope you catch Ryan in the right mood.
There's a lot of stuff that is good enough to make it on the show, but I'm just not in the mood for it that week. And we are actually we have a lot. You guys are sending a lot.
Thank you.
Which means the Adventurers Club is working.
Yeah.
You guys send a lot, and a lot of it is very good, which means it gives me the opportunity to kind of like pick what I think is the best for each episode. So there's a lot of stuff that I just go like, it's good, but it's not good enough for this episode.
Something you mentioned in between
this
episodes.
Is really good though.
Something you mentioned in between episodes is the idea of creating like subfolders in the ads for things that would be good for a theme, but a theme that you're not in the mood for doing. And that could be like a fun little thing.
I think something we should also do, and maybe this is something that you would want to tackle, Steve, if you feel up to it, is going through all the listings that are clicked through and just grabbing single photos and throwing them on Instagram or something.
Oh yeah.
Like just doing photo dumps. Like here's the ones that didn't make it sort of thing.
Oh, that'd be fun.
So people can like just chat about them, you know? Sure. But this is $950, $100 shipping. I'm wondering if that's what it sold for. It feels a little bit stiff to me for something that has, what looks like a parts neck to me. The body's cut a little bit rough in a few places. Like the lines are just a little not great throughout the tail portion of the body. I see what they were trying to do, but I wish things just lined up a little bit better. Like I wish the body hugged that saw blade in a more circular fashion. I know that they were trying to fit that trim in there, but there's other things they could have done. So I'm docking points. There's no real points here, but I'm docking fictitious points for a little bit of visual stuff that is bothering me. But the concept is strong. I like this a lot. There is a functional element, an audio element to the inclusion of this saw blade that I'm compelled by. And I'd love to hear this thing played. I want to know where those plastics came from. They look like they came from some old radio or something like that. One of them is a concentric knob where there's two different knobs is I think what's going on. So you've got maybe a volume for the bridge piezo situation and then a volume tone for the neck P90 maybe is what I'm assuming.
Do you know where Fairfax, California is?
I do not.
Is that really? Is this really in Los Angeles? Oh, there is a Fairfax in Los Angeles, but Fairfax, California is in the North Bay. Okay. That's where these are being made, which it makes sense. I was thinking that, and it makes sense that this style of guitar is coming out of the North Bay.
Sure.
But I was looking up because if you go to Crude Luthier, if you just Google it, you'll find the reverb store for this. And there's a bunch of these like pretty crazy, right around $1,000 guitar builds. There was one that's painted red, white, and blue. It looks very thematic. I know, take a screenshot, whatever. I'll just find one.
For $1,000.
So look at this. This is like, looks very patriotic. And then you realize it's got the no step on snake on it. Like, so I think that's a lot.
It's humorous.
Yeah.
All right. Here's the thing, cosmetic stuff aside, if you tried this, if you got to have hands on this and the audio qualities, the sound qualities, the musical qualities of that saw blade pay off and it plays decent, like the neck feels good, the fretwork feels good, right. Like it just checks out. I can't tell someone to not pay $1,000 for this.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's unique. It got a unique thing going on that sounds like it's functional. If it makes a sound that is inspiring to you, there's so many dumber guitars out there for $1,000 that are just, like commercially made import guitars, where this is a locally made, domestically made, freak show of a guitar that has some really unique and interesting, compelling qualities. Like if I walked past, someone playing on the street or if I walked past a bar and someone was on stage playing this and I could see through to the stage out from outside the bar and I saw this, I would pay money to go into the bar to hear this played.
Yeah. No,
to get a closer
get it.
look, you know?
I am a little bit concerned about this knot. It does, to me, look like you can kind of hit the blades, but
I bet that if you really, really tried, you could get your finger in there and have an uncomfortable situation. Yeah. But I feel pretty good about how this blade is recessed into that hole.
Overall, it's in there pretty deep.
Yeah. And like you could, if they wanted to get super, super crazy woodworky, they could have made a route that the blade fits into almost perfectly. But I kind of like the way it is. And also, if there is an acoustic quality to that blade, then the little triangle gaps around it that's the sound hole.
Yeah.
That's where the sound's going to come out.
Yeah. It's
I bet this thing sounds so
it's
weird.
Interesting. It seems cool. I'm just going to put a link to the Reverb store.
Do it.
Down below so people can check it out. Cause I think it's worth checking out. Hopefully there's still some guitars in there. Because like I said, this one apparently sold for $950 or best offer or whatever.
Sure.
It's not really clear. But I think it's a lot of fun. Oh,
I think it's going to win. That's my suspicion.
Do you feel, somebody asked this in the comments, do you feel like we always wear headphones?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's important to wear headphones.
I think it is too. And it's not because we don't trust the equipment or the microphones. It's because we don't trust ourselves to not wander off the mic like this. If we're not wearing headphones, we might be over here talking to, we need to be able to hear.
Yeah, it actually helps
when we're on mic.
We can hear ourselves.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I was just thinking about it.
Random thought.
Sometimes it's no, because somebody put that in the comments, and I know
it would look better if we just looked like normal people sitting here talking.
Because we have talked about how it also helps for plosives and stuff, so you're more conscious of the way you're talking.
The vast majority of the time, we probably wouldn't need it. If we had a producer here in room who was monitoring everything, we probably wouldn't need it.
Yeah,
but it would still be a smart idea. And guys, don't be angry about the headphones.
I don't think anyone's angry. I think it's just
calm down about the headphones. It's going to be okay.
We're actually wearing headphones because I'm green screened into this.
Yeah, actually, my ears are cold.
All right, Ryan, what's new?
Oh man, I've got new things in my life. I got a new amp, and I got to try it out with Vulture Shock for practice the other day.
Vulture Shock still exists?
We still exist. We have a new bassist. We're reworking the material around the new bassist. I'm a Quilter boy now.
Ooh, that is the Overdrive 202?
That's the Overdrive 202. I ran into the Quilter guy at NAMM, and he was like, Ryan, do you have any quilters? I'm like, I don't have any quilters, but I like quilters quite a bit. And he's like, I'm going to email you. I'm going to get a quilter into your life. So he sent me this because I requested this model. When he emailed me, I was like,
you requested this
I want to check out the 202. It looks like it'll fit my needs really, really well. And then he also included the pedal board one. I forget what those models are called. The something...
Is it like Super Block?
The Super Block.
Is that
the
what
Super
it's
Block
called?
25, which I actually have on my speaker cab up in the office right now.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to say this about both of them. This one I've had up to full volume. I had it up to 75 watts at practice, and it goes up to 200. They're solid state amps.
Mm-hmm.
They're analog solid state amps. I can't believe... Yeah, you're going to expect it to be clear. It's going to have really high fidelity. It's not going to do the tubey, saggy sort of thing. It has a drive section to it. I didn't really use the drive section on this. I was using my my dirt pedals and stuff like that. I can't believe how warm these things sound. They have this just warm, organic, fill the room and wrap you in a soft blanket kind of vibe.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't expecting that. I think this is the best I've sounded at Vulture Shock practice so far. And I was running it on that Black Star 2x12 cab with the neodymiums in it. And I've been going back and forth trying to figure out if I like those speakers or not that are in there. And they sounded amazing. And I'm just really, really impressed with these amps right now. And not just because they were given to me. But because like I've been trying to find an amp that works for that band for so long, and it just clicked, and it fits in my pedal board bag, like not on the pedal board, like in the second little pouch where I keep cables and stuff like that. Yeah. I just slide this in here, and it's my whole head. And I've got that neodymium cab that I can lift with one hand. And now I've got myself carry my whole rig in one trip.
Right. You can throw like guitar in like a backpack case.
Guitar on my back, cab in one hand, pedal board with the amp head in the same bag.
Nice.
3 things. It sounds great. It's got headroom for days. I was having trouble because I was using like the 50-watt Blackstar head, and I kept just pushing it into dirt, and I was losing headroom, and I couldn't boost into leads and stuff like that. We're a loud band. I can't wait to use this with Dinosaur Ghost because it is so warm and clear, and it's got that fuddy percussive thing going on too. Like I'm planning on making a video with this, pairing it up with the Surfy Bear, talking about modern surf rigs, because Quilters actually get used quite a bit in the surf music scene. Like they have become a go-to, which is why I knew that, totally send one to me. I'd love to hang out with a Quilter. But I'm just stoked on it. And I've been using the Super Block upstairs for playing in my office. And just thoroughly impressed with these units. So that's what's new in my gear life.
Do you have more what's new?
I got to go see the Surfragettes the other night.
Oh, that's right.
I mean, it was as this episode is airing, it was like a week ago. But Robert McDowell and I met up, and we went down and we hit up Ballast Point. We hit up Ballast Point down in Little Italy.
Because it was at the Casbah, right?
It was at the Casbah. Got some grub and then walked over there, and it was an excellent show. And I didn't realize that they were headlining this tour.
Oh,
because I've seen them come through town a bunch of times,
right?
And they've always been a supporting act. Like last time, I think it was with Reverend Horton Heat.
Oh, cool.
And I've seen them with a couple other bands, and they always tour really, really light. Like I actually really admire how they tour, just like using other people's amps and drums and stuff like that. And they're always able to pull it off. But them being the headliner and bringing all their own gear, their own amps, their own drums, it sounded exactly like the album. Like I was
that's cool.
Like legitimately blown away. Like, oh my gosh, no, there's their sound. Like they have all this gear figured out. They have it all wired. They know these rigs intimately, and they sound exactly like their album. And it sounded really, really good. They were using a pair of Pro Reverbs, Fender Pro Reverbs. I tried the Fender Pro Reverb, the newer Silverface version, which is what they were using. I tried it at Sweetwater, 2 years ago?
Like a custom 68 sort of a deal?
Yeah, sort of. And super drippy reverb on those things. I fell in love with it, and I've debated ever since, like, oh man, should I get a super reverb? But I don't really have space for it. I've already got the Princetons, but man, those amps sounded so good. And the Surfragettes just knocked it out of the park. Right. So I bought 2 shirts.
I heard.
They actually didn't have one of them in my size. And I was talking to Shermie, and I was like, do you have that in XL? And she's like, no, I don't. I'm like, do you have it in double XL? She's like, no. And then she's like, but we're going to get more in a week. Can I ship it to you? And I was like, absolutely, ship it to me. And so I paid in advance, and
cool.
I gave her my address.
Great.
So yeah.
That's awesome.
The Surfragette shirts have turned out to be like, I'm not superstitious, but I feel like they are good luck charms for videos. They definitely drive engagement.
Right.
Too. Like, every time I wear a Surfragette shirt in a video, people are like, oh, the Surfragettes, And also, like, it was so cool to see them headlining a show at the Casbah and seeing the crowd of people that showed up specifically for them. Like, they have really decent draw.
Yeah.
For, there's surf bands that have really good draw, like national acts that tour all the time and stuff like that, and have been mainstay names, and they can pack out a venue like that. But it's been really amazing getting to watch the Surfragettes build their audience and be able to roll into town and headline their own show and basically fill the room. Like,
yeah, I mean, it's one thing to be a national touring act. It's another thing to be an international.
They are international
superstar touring act, which they are.
Yeah, I wish we could have talked about them last week during the Canadian episode because they are Canadian.
A lot of so the funny thing is, like, we kind of mostly just focused on the Canadian food. Really just the chips and then like the couple ads.
That was 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago now, right? But a lot of people were commenting on like, why didn't you guys talk about Glenn?
We have so many Canadians in our lives that there's a lot of Canadians we could have talked about. We just happened to have a bunch of Canadian ads and we had some chips, so we made it a Canadian episode. All right, do you have anything new?
I don't, Ryan. But what we both have new is that this show's now currently being sponsored by TrueFire.
That's true, Steve.
TrueFire has music lessons, all kinds, guitar,
thousands, tens of thousands of videos,
all kinds of different levels of play, from Grammy winners to Grammy Award winners to top session players to world-renowned educators. TrueFire content is powered by the best in the business. Apparently, they have over 2 million guitar players from all over the world that have subscribed, that are taking lessons through TrueFire. So it's like very popular.
Why are they paying to advertise through us then? We should be paying to advertise through them.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe you can do some surf guitar. Are there any surf guitar lessons on TrueFire?
That's a good question.
Maybe
I am not
a
teacher. I should not be teaching lessons, but that would be an interesting project that I'll probably never tackle.
There's all kinds of things, all kinds of lessons. Oh, this is a thing I need to look at, actually. Have you been taking them on your computer or off your phone?
I did it on my computer today. I played around with some bass lessons for about 40 minutes today.
Because they do have an app, which I think I think that's really interesting, because then you can just like watch it on your phone. You're not like when I've done stuff, I feel kind of tied to my desk trying to watch things on the computer. But if it's on my phone, that means I can also just plug in and take an acoustic guitar to my backyard and do the lessons.
I do the majority of my personal playing on the couch with headphones, like jamming along to my phone. Yeah. So yeah, I'll definitely have to get the app to mess around with that. You and I have we don't know how long the sponsorship is going to last. It might be a month. It might be, indefinite, but you and I now have the ability to log in for a year. I think they gave us.
Oh, cool.
So we'll get to spend some time with it and get to work on our chops and learn some things. I've been spending time with the bass lessons just to try to get myself disciplined, trying to learn how to play bass more like a bassist instead of a guitarist that just happened to pick up a bass, So that's my goal right now. And I mean, this is a little bit off topic, but I'm thinking about getting flat wounds for my my Longhorn bass.
All right. Well, if you
want, I probably ordered them already.
If you want to check out TrueFire, we've got an affiliate link down in the description. So go take a look. Ryan.
Yes, Steve.
The subreddit Johnmayer.
Oh, also there's a discount code.
There's a discount code.
I think it's like 30% off. We didn't mention that last week.
We did not.
Hopefully I remember to put it in the lower thirds or whatever. I think it's like 60 cycle hum 30 or something like that. I'll put it down here. It's like 30% off. So if you want to check it out, there is a discount code. Man, I feel bad that we didn't mention that last week. Oh, well.
Get them next time.
Yeah.
Ryan.
Yes, Steve.
The subreddit Johnmayer hates us.
Yes, r/Johnmayer, the subreddit. Yeah. They despise us, apparently. Emily from Get Offset sent us a link to this post. Why was she looking around for this?
She said it just like showed up on her like For You or whatever that's called for like when you log into Reddit, your Explore or whatever.
This guy posted on this subreddit, the Johnmayer subreddit, "I'm so done with guitar podcasts," in quotes. Talking down Mayer. Honestly, I don't know why this has got me so fired up, but I thought I would share my frustration with the internet. I listen to a lot of guitar podcasts, and it's really become hard to find any of them that talk about Mayer in a good light without an underlying tone of sarcasm. So he's not even happy with them with podcasts talking about Johnmayer positively, like he's hearing sarcasm in it when they're talking. Okay. All right. I was recently listening to an episode of 60 Cycle Hum. That's us, Steve.
That's us.
Thank you for the listen. And they were talking about John's pedal boards for the solo tour,
which we didn't really, we read an article.
That was a joke that was going.
The article had gone viral. It
Yeah.
had been shared a bunch of times. So we actually read it. And then I think you panned it for like a very obnoxious, or maybe it just felt like a obnoxious stereo effect because we tried to read it simultaneously.
Oh yeah. There was a whole bit that we did.
Yeah. It was like literally like 5 straight minutes of you and I like chorusing through an article.
That's when it was, you know, they wrote all these articles about how Johnmayer is using 3 pedal boards for his tour or whatever.
Which is like, of course he is. He's got a freaking like,
he's got a big old
20-year-old music career.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of territory to cover. Anyway.
Then they go on a tangent about how they're not MAYER fans and don't understand why people are. I don't think I ever said I don't understand why people are MAYER fans. That doesn't sound like something I would say.
So I re-listened to it. Okay, well, yeah. So I re-listened to it. There's some, in my opinion, there's some compressing. I don't want to say it's twisting because it's just people writing and
did we throw any shade?
Well, let me read the next part. It says, then they continue with all the usual sputter about how they have only heard Your Body is a Wonderland, etc. And it really got me thinking, John is probably one of the very few guitar heroes left out there that can still sell at stadiums and who has one of the best selling signature model guitars to have ever been released. Shouldn't guitar podcasts be doing more to at least listen to some of his more, quote, guitar-based stuff, whether that be studio or live, before talking him down? So here's what, I went back and listened to it because I could not remember what we said. And maybe I missed it. And again, could be a perception is reality sort of thing. I don't think I said that I don't understand why people are. I think I said, one of the things I did say is that I feel like a lot of times his guitar tone sounds a little too compressed and a little like too studio. So I can see how that's like a gripe, but it wasn't about his playing. It's just like something about his guitar tone doesn't resonate with me. The thing where he's saying how they've only heard Your Body is a Wonderland, etc. Your Body is a Wonderland, of course, is a very popular song. But what I actually said was that I own his first album, or his first like major release album. It's very good, but I've only heard like the single since. And so I think I riffed off Your Body is a Wonderland, Daughters, Gravity, Say What You Need to Say, like all of these radio hits.
Right.
I don't think at any point did I like hyper focus on Your Body is a Wonderland, but I think some of the response here is not just directed at us, because they also say guitar nerds are just as bad, as I've heard them openly say that John is overrated and makes terrible music. I would not say that John is overrated or that he makes terrible music. I just think he makes music that doesn't necessarily resonate with me. And so in our episode,
I don't even keep up on the ratings anymore. Where are the ratings even being posted?
So what I said in our episode, which a lot of people did in the comments, and I did listen to a few, but it was a while ago. I think this was like 9 months ago.
Feels longer.
Is what I said in there was, if you're a Johnmayer fan, let me know some tracks that you think you would want to show to somebody who's only heard the the more
radio
popular stuff.
Yeah.
Because like, and the other thing I said is I've listened to Johnmayer Trio, and Johnmayer Trio is fantastic. It's just not like music that I'm into, but it's like, it's really good. And if I was in the right mood, I would go back to it. But most of the time I'm not in the mood.
I've heard enough of Johnmayer playing to know that he's a very talented guitarist, a very talented musician. He seems to have a great voice too. That's not the type of music that I listen to. Yeah. The world is just full of amazing, talented musicians that most of us don't listen to because we're listening to the music that we like, and we have different tastes. Like this whole thread, not just the original poster, but the whole thread just reads like people who are so defensive and so upset and so butthurt that there's people in the world who don't love, not that they don't like, not that they're upset that we don't love Johnmayer.
Right.
And I have no problem with Johnmayer as a musician at all. And I totally understand why people like him. But the fact that neither of us love him seems to be the central thing upsetting a lot of these people.
Ryan?
Yeah, Steve. Are we going to make it right? Are we going to listen to something?
We're going to listen to this song. I think I saw some people mention this. This is from 2018. This is Dead and Company performing Sugar Magnolia with Johnmayer on guitar.
We're gonna time lapse this so we don't get copyright struck. You know.
We're making real sacrifices here.
I know. This can't be the best example of his playing.
I don't know. This is just like what came up. Here.
He says, I'm sure a lot of them are just avoiding listening to slow dancing, covered in rain, or any live performance in the fear they are going to be proven wrong, or maybe it's a jealousy thing.
So here's the song that a lot of people will say is one of the hardest songs to play in guitar world ever. Maybe. Also, I love this song. For the record, I love the song Neon.
You love the song?
I love this song. This isn't the part that's hard to play.
Okay, this is the easy part.
This is the easy part. Okay. I've never heard this part, actually. That's pretty much all of it. I don't know if you want to hear more. There might be some, like, because it's live, there might be some other stuff. I don't know.
All right.
Thank you. And good evening.
I've heard Johnmayer play before. Like I've seen the things where they're showing, like, you know, how incredible he can play. He's obviously a highly skilled guitarist. He obviously has a very appealing voice that people love listening to. He's great at putting together songs that people want to hear. I have no problem with him as a musician. I just have no interest in him personally. Like, I don't love that. Like, I don't hate, there's nothing there that I hate, but like, if that came on the radio, I would immediately change.
Ryan,
to a different station.
I think before you ever talk about Johnmayer ever again, you need to listen to every song on every album 3 times.
So is this like you hate Johnmayer? Then name 5 of his songs.
That's kind of, I mean, honestly, that's kind of like, and again,
you go say it.
Here's the thing I'll say about our show. We say things that are like we do frequently say things that are both irreverent and controversial about, I think it was a Phil McKnight who said something along the same lines where it's like, this is like, should be one of the least important things. Like this is largely for entertainment.
Yeah.
We slag off on, like, if you felt like we said something bad about Johnmayer, it's nothing personal about Johnmayer. It's nothing personal about people who listen to Johnmayer. And again, I went back and listened to what I said, and I thought what I said was actually pretty even keeled. At the same time, like, people are going to like what they like. The other day I listened to My Pal Foot. I don't know why. I just wanted to.
I would rather listen to the Shags than Johnmayer. I find
they're interesting.
No, it is more interesting to me.
Yeah,
like a genre that I've been spending a lot of time listening to.
Mm-hmm.
Which, if someone listens to a lot of Mayer, that's like the sort of music they listen to. What I'm about to talk about would seem so chaotic, and so disjointed and so off-putting. I've been listening to a genre called egg punk. And like, this is what I listen to at the gym. This is what I listen to when I'm driving around town and stuff. It's like, it's very like early Devo influenced,
right? Disjointed,
dissonant, clanging, abrasive sounds, punk music with like new wavy influences.
It's like, they're all like new bands, right? Like it's like a
10-year-old genre.
Yeah.
I've been listening to that a lot. And I know that most people would not have a great time listening to it.
Sure.
But I love it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't bother me at all that other people wouldn't love it. It's a bit of a trip to go through the comments here and see how upset people are that not that we dislike Johnmayer, because we don't. I don't dislike Johnmayer as a musician. Like, I think he's earned his place in pop culture as a musician through skill. Like, he's got incredible skill. He's just not making music that's compelling to me.
And I think I will say, I can't go back and find them all.
He
obviously.
doesn't feed my ADD.
But I think maybe like once a year, once every couple of years, the thing that goes through the zeitgeist again, is the guitar dead? Are guitar heroes dead? And I feel like every time we come back to it, I always make the same comment every time. Like, the biggest guitar hero of 2020X is Taylor Swift. Like, I keep coming back to, I mean, literally you have a freaking Rubber Bridge acoustic guitar back here. One of the biggest Rubber Bridge acoustic guitar albums of the last 5 years was a Taylor Swift album. The other one is a Phoebe Bridgers album. But anyway, but I will also talk about Jack White. We talk about Tim Henson. We talk about Johnmayer as being a freaking modern guitar hero.
Yeah.
You don't have to love someone's music. You don't even really have to be, you can say like, this music isn't for me. I don't know. Like, I feel like we are being mischaracterized on Reddit, which I know is a thing that has never happened to anybody before.
Everything on Reddit is completely accurate and well-researched. I think it'd be fun to read some of these comments.
Yeah.
He was good enough for Bobby. That should say enough. Who's Bobby?
I actually don't know. Bob Weir. I
Okay.
think, like, because he's in Dead & Co.
Oh, okay. This guy says, I work in pawn shop. I sell guitars. He is so disrespected. Gross, atrocious behavior. What does working in a pawn shop and selling guitars have to do with anything? Maybe
I don't
are
know.
people coming in and be like, hey, Johnmayer sucks. And then they throw like a wet newspaper at the guy that's got a fish in it or something? Like
the thing that's okay. So the thing that's funny here is like, personally, I feel like I come at this from an almost opposite direction. Obviously, I've talked about it a lot on this show. Like, I listen to a lot of like pop adjacent bedroom pop kind of stuff. So, I'll come in here and I just mentioned, Taylor Swift, Phoebe Bridgers, the new Olivia Rodrigo album, I think is really good.
I agree with that.
I listen to a lot of that.
I listen
to
to
that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Right. And I actually think, I think there's a lot of music that maybe I need to be more open to.
Well, what are you closed off to? What are you not listening to?
Well, like people, I don't think I don't think I've ever listened through an entire Fish song.
Oh, okay.
Like, I don't think there's
just not enough hours in the day, Steve.
Right. I'm like familiar with Grateful Dead, but like, I don't really know anything about them. So the whole,
right.
This whole,
I've never heard a Grateful Dead song that made me want to hear more.
There's people in this thing talking about how, the fact that Johnmayer is filling in or is now, the replacement Jerry Garcia is testament to how good he is. But that doesn't mean anything to me because I don't have a connection to the Grateful Dead.
He's good at making music that I don't like, but he is good at making it. Like,
somebody made the comment on here, Corey Wong on his podcast, Wong Notes, had plenty of great things to say about Johnmayer. Of course, the comment was, you were correct, but I assume that podcast where you interview Johnmayer, you would be nice to him. But the point being, like, Corey Wong is a phenomenal guitar player who I'm only somewhat familiar with. And I could say the same thing for Tim Henson. Like, Wolfpack, I can only take in small doses. And Polyphia, I can only take in small doses. It's just not the kind of music that I'm into.
Yeah, I don't listen to like very much like guitar hero music. Like, I don't actually want to hear guitar shredding. I had the thought the other day. I listen to a jazz station a lot when I'm driving around. We actually have an excellent jazz radio station in San Diego. Yeah. And I realized my least favorite jazz instrument is guitar.
Right.
Like, I don't listen to that station. I don't listen to jazz for jazz guitar, even though I'm a guitarist. I want to hear horns. I want to hear clarinet. I want to hear the bass and the drums. Like, I want to hear a Rhodes organ, you know, like that's what I listen for. Like, I don't need to be in this headspace where everything is all guitar all the time. Like, I enjoy music.
I think that there's, and
it doesn't have to be guitar.
It's not just here. I think this is like a pretty broad thing that happens in a lot of different spaces, and particularly in a lot of different like art spaces where, so this comment is, they're jealous. They're jealous of his what? I don't know.
So how people are unable to.
I think it's supposed to be they're jealous of him. I have some guitarist friends that don't like MAYER, yet they're unable to play any of his key tracks. You never hear guitarists just noodling around with Neon, Why Georgia, Slow Dancing. Now imagine if you imagine twisting this argument. I have some guitarist friends. Like, what is, I suppose in this place it's like and yet they're unable to play any of his key tracks means that they've tried to sit down and learn it, or maybe they sat down and gave up. I don't know. But in my head, my first thought is like, how many guitarists can play like a Ramones song and it's going to sound like the Ramones? There's probably a lot, but I wonder how many like Johnmayer fans, if you handed them a Ramones song, like appreciation should be broad. Someone else in here says, when someone says, quote, "I'll never understand," believe them. They're literally incapable of wrapping their brain around a concept that's beyond them. But that's a thing that people say about pop artists all the time. Somebody commented on our video the other day where we talked about, I think it was our video, or maybe it was Emily's video. I don't remember. But we talked about whether or not Julian Baker should have, or there was a conversation about whether or not Julian Baker should have a signature guitar. And basically this person was going off on how she's not good enough. And I literally see people all the time who will say, I'll never understand why people think, Taylor Swift, 4 chords and, a 5-note melody gets so popular, while there's all these super talented musicians who like never sell more than 1,000 albums or whatever. And it's like, that's the definition of jealousy, is someone being like, oh, that person doesn't deserve that. That's jealousy. And I'm not accusing any of these people of that, because I don't know if they're in that same space. I just think, to me, the takeaway is I like what I like.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean I don't appreciate Johnmayer. In fact, the more we talk about him, the more I think I might listen to Room for Squares on the way home tonight, or Johnmayer Trio. Actually, one of the nights we talked about Johnmayer extensively and didn't really say anything positive. Maybe didn't say anything negative, but we just kind of talked about him. I listened to Johnmayer Trio on the way home because it just put me in the right headspace for it.
If I was gonna make like a playlist that had like a certain vibe to it, like let's say I was gonna make a playlist built around Dave Matthews Band, but I wanted some other artists in there, I'd throw Johnmayer in with that mix. I think, but like I don't think I've ever been in that mood since like 1998. So I don't think it's going to happen for me. Like, and there's just, there's something about the vibe of the music that he likes to make and that people that like from him, the music that people like from him, that I just do not connect to. And it's almost like how I don't connect with Jimmy Buffett. Right. Like there's this underlying vibe that is off-putting to me. I can appreciate the talent. I can appreciate the skill. I can appreciate that they're making music that so many people love, which is something that should be paid attention to. If you're a musician and there's another musician who is making extremely popular music, whether you like it or not, you should pay attention to what they're doing so that you can apply those ideas and you can like dissect and think in that headspace of like, how are they making music that so many people like? There's something valuable going on here. We should all be doing that. And I try to do that to the best of my ability whenever I can, but I'm going to listen to music that I like.
Here's off of what you're saying with the vibe. And again, this, I think it makes sense for you.
Right.
And because I don't think it's changed. Maybe it's changed a little the further. And that's the other thing is like, I started listening to Johnmayer in like 2001, I think.
Sure.
Like when that first big release came out, the first John Mayer song I heard was No Such Thing, right? So that's where I started. But he's always had like that first album. If you did not listen to the deep track cuts, like someone mentioned Why Georgia or Neon, which
Sure.
I showed you, and you heard No Such Thing and Your Body Is a Wonderland, and I think there was maybe one more single off of that album that was like, it was radio pop. You would listen to it and think John Mayer is Jason, not to change there. In that time period, there were 3
Sure.
pop frat boys.
Okay.
John Mayer is New England pop frat boy. Jack Johnson is Hawaii frat boy. And Jason Mraz is San Diego frat boy.
Okay.
And those were like the 3 frat boys. And as you dive into their albums, you kind of see how they separate. Personally, I think
The holy trinity of frat boy music.
Of frat boy music. And then you dive in a little more and you kind of realize like Jack Johnson, I think, is the best songwriter of the 3 of them. Jason Mraz is maybe the best. I think Jack Johnson is the best singer-songwriter. Jason Mraz might be the best like pop songwriter.
I wouldn't even know how to. I don't
just
do
let
best.
me finish.
Okay.
And John Mayer is the most guitar technically skilled of the 3 of them. But there is something about that early vibe that's like, he's the guy at a party with an acoustic guitar, but instead of playing like the beginning of Stairway to Heaven and the parts that everybody knows and then fudging through the solo, all he's doing is playing the solo.
Right.
Because he's a frat
He's a
boy at a party, but he's also the best guitarist in the college.
No, he's a monster musician.
Yeah.
Like that's undeniable. Like,
But people are going to be like, "Oh, you just compared him to a frat boy, so you're being mean to John Mayer." Also, I can't be mean to John Mayer because he's a multimillionaire, and I have a podcast that like, at best, maybe this is going to get 10,000 views.
This is my favorite comment. They don't like him because the major pentatonic is harder to play than the minor. Ha 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 ha. No, I hope this guy's joking because it super isn't. And maybe this is going to
hold on.
Okay.
You know what? I made you let me finish, so I just want to say one thing about this comment first, and then I'm going to let you finish. I will interject and interrupt you slightly. I can't play either of those.
Yeah, if you can play one, you can play the others. They are of identical difficulty. I hope this guy is joking. I will say this is going to sound cocky, and I don't mean it to be. The video that we were watching him playing with the Dead, with an appropriate amount of practice, I could play all of that.
Maybe later maybe we didn't go through the whole thing, so maybe later there's like
I don't want to play any of it.
Guitar solo,
but yeah, he could absolutely smoke me with the stuff that he can do on guitar. I will never deny that. But what he was doing in that song, like I can do that.
Sure.
Like there's like pentatonic jamming. That's where I live. I'm in a surf band.
Yeah.
That's pretty much the majority of what I know how to do.
Yeah. That's why I pulled up. That is one of the reasons I pulled up Neon, because that is the song.
Right.
The verse part singing over, like a lot of people have spent months learning the guitar part and they leave the vocals to someone else because they can't do it.
Let's give him some solid compliments on that song. I mean, it's a finger gymnastics song. Like he's doing finger gymnastics playing Neon. And at the same time, he's singing in a way that completely betrays the finger gymnastics element of it, because he's got that disarming, laid back, smooth voiced, like let's be super duper chill vibe about him.
It's divisive. A lot of people don't like his vocals,
right?
But I'm fine with them.
I have no problem with his vocals. They're just not my style. It's not what I like to listen to. But the fact that he is combining that super technical, high difficulty playing with his voice, with his presentation of the song, where despite being technical, despite being very busy, it does feel relaxing. It does have this chill vibe to it. That's a trick. That is quite a trick to pull off, and he's nailed it. So like it is incredible. Like I fully appreciate what he's doing there. like, you know, I'm sure there's all sorts of stuff to not like about Johnmayer. I don't spend enough time thinking about him to really have any of those things in mind. Are there any other comments here that we want to address? Only shit guitarists would not realize John's greatness, guitar-wise. Let's be honest.
I mean, I am a shit guitarist, so I don't really know how to reply to that.
Yeah, I mean,
I feel like there's a lot of assumptions of jealousy and a lot of things, and the reality is if I wanted to be jealous of a good professional guitar player, like Johnmayer's pretty like high hanging fruit.
I'm jealous of plenty of guitar players.
I'm, you know, every professional guitar player that's making more money than I make. You could make the argument that I'm jealous of that. I just think it's reductive to be like, these guys didn't fawn all over Johnmayer, so they must be jealous. Like, it's okay. Like, you can say like somebody is a good musician or a great musician and still say that you don't like their music. What'd you find?
I don't know. Reading these comments is costing me brain cells. Oh my gosh. Those who can't do podcasts, I mean, I don't disagree there, but I don't know. Like we'll put a link to this down below, and you guys maybe we shouldn't do that. I don't want to seem like we're sicking people on this. Like,
no, you know, like if you want to look for it. I'm not going to post it.
I think you know, you guys know me. I think it's funny whenever people like try to insult me, but it's just like these people aren't even familiar with us. They're just assuming that we're one way or another, or that we hate Johnmayer when I don't think I've ever said that I hate Johnmayer. Like, I hate a lot of people, but I don't have enough feelings about Johnmayer to actually. I'm gonna actually cut that just to the part where you say I hate Johnmayer, and that's gonna be an Instagram. How about you guys out there? Do you hate Johnmayer? Maybe go track down this Reddit post and tell them why you hate Johnmayer. I don't know. Tell them that I don't hate Johnmayer. Tell them that Steve doesn't hate Johnmayer. I don't love him either, but like, maybe that is the most offensive thing. Maybe that is the thing that upsets them the most, is that I don't actually have feelings towards him.
Right.
Like, it would probably be more satisfying to them if I did hate Johnmayer, but because I actually just don't really have any feelings one way or another. Like, I have the observation that he's very talented, but then I don't really feel anything about him. I don't feel like anything against him. I don't feel anything for him. I just know that the music's not for me and it's not compelling to me, so I don't listen to it. Like, I don't sit there and go, Johnmayer, and I own the SE version of his guitar. How much could I hate him?
You do. You haven't sold it.
I haven't sold it. I still have it.
You even
I think it's a good guitar. I've modified it.
Tiger stripe pickguard on it.
Yeah. And I rewired it and stuff like that. You know, I like that guitar. It's a fun guitar. If I hated Johnmayer, would I have his guitar? I don't know. Maybe. No.
Sorry if we hurt anyone's feelings over our lack of.
Usually we try to hurt people's feelings
on Johnmayer. And
like, here we are, like, defending our, like, it doesn't matter. Guys, part of loving anything is also hating that thing.
That's true.
Like, look at Star Wars. No true Star Wars fan loves Star Wars without also hating Star Wars. Mm-hmm. If you love music, then there's parts of music that you hate, that you have strong feelings about. There's stuff that you love, and there's stuff that you hate, and there's stuff in between that you don't really feel anything for. Like, the expectation that because we do a guitar podcast, or because we're in the guitar media space, that we should be fawning over Johnmayer and just be in love with whatever he does and be trying to play his music. I've never once tried to play a Johnmayer song because it's not the type of music that I like. I play the music that I like. The fact that people are out there assuming that we've had some sort of failing as guitar media creators because we're not in love with one act, one musician, is completely asinine, completely stupid. Like, it just shows a complete lack of critical ability on their part. And I don't respect them, is what I'm saying. So everyone who complained on that thread about us not loving Johnmayer, I don't respect you. And I think you're actually really, really stupid. And I don't actually want to, like, usually I interact with trolls. I don't actually want to talk to you people, so I'm not going to. And that's the greatest insult that I can pass on to you.
I already did.
I know that you did, but I'm not going to.
I know. I'm just saying. I already did. All right. I know you're going to shorten some of this stuff down, but we talked about this for like half an hour.
The worst thing that someone can be to me is boring. And this is boring to me. I don't even want to interact with it. It's so boring.
This last ad was sent by Michael Lovett. Were there 2 Michael Lovetts this episode? There were 2 Michael Lovetts this episode. I'm trying to
he's doubling his chances here.
I'm trying to find the picture. There we go. 1972 Hayman 3030 electric guitar, made in England, natural with original case. You might say it's hay colored. Safe, easy, and convenient pickup in Simpsonville, South Carolina at this Starbucks. That's convenient. P.S. Yes, it works, and I'll show you it functions correctly before you pay. No risk of buying something that doesn't work like you expect. So I guess they're gonna maybe bring a Black Star,
sure, battery amp or something.
This looks pretty cool.
I love the control plate on this. It looks like a pull-out stereo. Like you're worried that someone's going to steal your guitar electronics when you're in the store. Just pull them out and put them in your purse. You know?
Is that what happens here? Does that actually pull out?
No, I'm making a joke about car stereos.
I was like, wait, what?
But I kind of really like visually how that works. Just this big rectangle of metal, in the middle of a curvy guitar. Like there's something so visually striking about
it's
that.
A really fun take on like a Telecaster.
Yeah. And the big logo there too. I wish it had the old car stereo push buttons, like 3 big push buttons instead of a pickup selector switch.
Right. Well, the problem too is I'm looking at that switch. It doesn't look like a common part. So if it goes bad, you might be a little.
The only part of this that looks like a common part is those knobs.
Even the knobs don't even look that common. They look a little like shallow. It's hard to tell. I mean,
no, those are.
You think those are standard knobs? Those are
standard issue knobs. Those are just knurled Telecaster knobs.
So a few weeks ago, and I would not be able to find it, but we did a guitar.
Maybe not Telecaster, but knurled knobs for sure.
We did a guitar that was in the UK that had a headstock really similar to this.
But like, there's so many.
Episode 514.
One-off parts here. The bridge, completely unique. The pickups look completely unique. That control plate, completely unique. Like there's the pickguard is like this clear but dark material. Every part of this is interesting to me. I don't like the headstock very much, but I see what they were going for, and I see that there's a lot of quality and attention to detail in the build here. It's like a more psychedelic take.
This isn't the same headstock, but it feels like it's borrowing.
Right.
It's the cousin of that.
Yeah. Now you got to put that in the drawer.
No, I already did in episode 514.
Oh, okay. I'll go back and try to find it.
People can find it on their own.
Hopefully editing Ryan. Hey, wake up. Go find that picture from episode 514. You can do it.
No, this is like a
the body has like this kind of like Supro throwback shape.
I was gonna say Ibanez Talman.
Yeah. But this probably predates the Talman.
Oh, for sure it does.
I just like looking at it. I want to know what those pickups sound like too.
I want to put a tape in. Like it looks like
yeah, exactly.
Load a cassette.
What cassette would you put in this guitar, Steve? I don't know why, but I'm feeling like some early 80s Michael Jackson.
Really?
Yeah.
Because looking at this guitar, I was
like that sort of thing.
I was thinking Neil Young, Harvest Moon.
All right. I mean, whatever tape you put in this is gonna get mangled, and you're gonna have to pull it out and wind it up with a pencil. So
right.
This thing is a suicide machine for tapes.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so let's get back to this
What was
main
the
listing.
price on it?
$1,200.
I mean, I have no idea. I have no idea about the brand. I have no idea about the builder. I have no idea if it's worth that. How do you price something like this?
Let's see.
I even like the logo.
These
The logo on the neck plate. That's a fun logo.
These are on Reverb. There's a humbucker version that somebody's got listed for about $980.
Hayman is a cool name too. Like, what happened with this brand?
It looks like they were made by possibly made by Burns.
Well, everyone's made Burns.
Yeah, there's a
Burns is one of those brands that just gets passed around.
There's a black hollow body version on Reverb for $4,000.
Really? So this is some sort of local flavor thing in England.
I mean, like I said, there's a few under 1,000, but there's also a bunch over $2,000. There's a bass.
If I was, an eccentric millionaire who was amassing a gigantic guitar collection, I would have like a wing of my guitar manor that was all funky British guitars. Like, oftentimes when we're talking about funky guitars, you think of, Italian guitars, Japanese guitars, et cetera, et cetera. The Brits had some really wild takes on electric guitars. Their homegrown stuff is always a little bit different. And this is, no exception.
Yeah. So 1,200, it looks like it might be a little high, but it also might be the right price.
It might be the right price.
It does have the jack replaced. The screws for the neck plate are in rough, but probably salvageable shape. I mean, hopefully you never have to mess with the neck anyway.
Is that price in pounds or is that Yank bucks?
This is in South Carolina.
Oh, it's Yank bucks.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, I mean, I think if I saw this and I was like, and I had like, I think if I saw this and say, my tax return just came in and I didn't need to use that for other things like investing in my Roth IRA, then maybe I, take some of that and say, I'm going to take some of my tax return and use it as fund money and try to talk this guy down to $1,000.
I wish this had like a Starcaster headstock, a 6 in line with some sort of funky, like swooshy shape.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want it. I don't like, this is like, an interesting take on like the Dan Electro Coke bottle headstock.
But it'd be cooler with a 6 in line.
Yeah.
Like a big 6 in line, like a Starcaster.
Like all the extra hardware for the string guides and stuff like that is putting me off a little bit. I really appreciate the German carve on the edges of the headstock.
I guess those are like, that's a Shergold or like a Shergold part. So that's some, again, British specific.
It is like, it's too many piercings.
I like this.
Is what it looks like.
I like the circle button thing on
Me
the
too.
headstock.
It's clear, right?
Yeah.
And it's got the logo in there. Like, yeah. The headstock is just a little off-putting to me. 0 fret. I love a 0 fret.
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah. It's more of like,
cool.
It's got extra space in between the nut and the 0 fret. That's interesting because usually the 0 fret's right on top of the nut.
Yeah, I think, again, like, if I had fun money, I would probably limit myself to like $1,000 on this. Maybe offer 900 and see if they can, how close to 1,000 they're willing to go.
Anytime I see squared single coils like that, I want to hear them. I just want to hear those pickups. Like, they probably sound like Strat pickups.
Yeah, or I always envision that style of pickup having kind of like that almost brittle in a pleasing way.
Sure.
Like it's a very like Japanese 60s Japanese.
Well, it's Voxy. Vox had square pickups.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Yeah.
I just like the look of them. Like anything a little bit different catches my eye. So who's going to win this episode, Steve?
I think it's this one, man.
I'm in between this and the Crude Saw.
Still like the Crude Saw?
I do.
Well, Ryan,
are we going to spin? I'm going to pick the Crude Saw.
You're going to pick the Crude Saw. Then we're going to spin. The Crude Saw is Josh Michaels. The Hayman was Michael Lovett. I was checking to see if they were from the same person. Did you spin last time?
You did, I think.
All right.
I'm going to try spinning the opposite direction that I usually spin. I think that might be the trick to winning.
But you won last time.
Yeah, because you spun, and so you pulled it the opposite direction.
Oh, interesting.
That's my theory.
Take-
Right on the money, baby!
On it. All right, Crude
I've
Saw.
won twice in a row because it spun the other direction. That's the secret. That's the trick.
Yeah, I'm sure that's what it was.
That's why you would win every week.
What about with the flipping
I don't
stuff?
know. I don't know. This theory doesn't hold up under scrutiny. I'm sorry.
This song was sent by Derek Barnett. He says, "Song for the podcast if it suits you." The song, here's something to greetings. Here's something to fill nearly 4 minutes of dead air if it suits you. The song is Bigfoot Stomp by Yold Buzzard. We're a hard rock band in Northwest Indiana, just getting our feet under us. Thanks for the show, Derek Barnett.
The woods, just my buddies and I. We were shooting the shit and getting a little high. The beers were flowing and the music went down, and that's when we heard the strangest sound. We all stood up and looked on in shock. Our eyes were peering out into the dark. With this big hairy dude, he was about 12 foot high. He appeared from the trees to our surprise. Whoa, Bigfoot stomp. Whoa, Bigfoot stomp. Then he struts in the camp, he makes straight for the beer. Then he hoists up the cooler with a wink and a leer. Then he strides into the night with no fear and no care, while we stood around wondering what the hell happened there. When we finally got over the initial shock, we took off and we chased that cat out into the dark. We were worried that we'd never see that beer again, but the thunderous drums led us straight to his den. Whoa, Bigfoot stomp. Whoa, Bigfoot stomp. He sat at the world's biggest kid. He had 2 tree trunks and his big ugly mitts. He was dashing stumps with some swing and some heat, cackling and a swinging and a tapping his feet. Yeah.
Gotta love a novelty story song about Bigfoot stealing beer. That was fun. That was a fun romp.
Yeah. I enjoyed that.
All right, bye everybody.
Stay grounded.
Did you enjoy it more than Johnmayer though?
I was going to ask you the same question, and I felt like it would just be like kind of messed up.
All right, bye everybody.
Stay grounded.